Hi, my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another monthly wrap up. This is where I talk about everything I watch, from TV shows to movies, and again, there's a lot of TV shows. I'm very excited because there's a lot of stuff that people have asked me about in DMs, and I'm excited to be able to share that all and my opinions today. So let's just jump into it. And again, I am using Letterboxd. The link is always in the down bar if you are looking at what application I'm using. It's called Letterboxd, and my name on there is Spookyastronaut for some weird reason. No S, so I'll see you there. Let's begin at the start of the month, friends. Although just before we start, I do want to talk quickly about the 7th day. I saw it later towards the, I think I had just done my video for last month, and I know some of you asked me about it and I didn't mention it in the wrap up, so I just wanted to mention this one quickly. This is a film I was very much looking forward to. You guys know I love religious films. This one has Guy Pearce, Keith David, Stephen Lang, and it was not for me. It was about an exorcist. I mean, I'll read the thing. It's God help us, which is the tagline, which I love. A renowned exorcist, and he's like, I don't know, he's like the cool guy, teams up with a rookie priest for the first day of training day, but with priests, but not as good. And they're into hell on earth, the lines between good and evil blur. That's actually a really good way of summing it up without giving away too much, but the film was trash. I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna say it. I hated this film. It was stupid, it was cheesy. I do love Guy Pearce, and yeah, it just did not work on any level for me. I would love to know if someone liked it, what you like about it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it trash. If people like it, that's fine. We are all entitled to our own trash. Mine is Blair Witch 2, A Book of Shadows. I really need to do a video on that. But as you can see by the people who have watched it that I follow everyone who follows me back, by the way, because I love to see what you guys are watching and what's trending with all of you. I think that's the best way to do it. So anyway, as you can see by watched by section, a lot of you guys didn't like it as well. So I just wanted to put that one out there. Also, I should mention I did see Godzilla vs. Kong. I did a Patreon come with me for that. If you want to check out anything on my Patreon, it's down below. I don't know, I think it was what I expected, but there was a couple of character flaws I wasn't really into. But overall, I guess it's exactly what we expected. I don't know. There was just a couple of things that didn't really work. And I have to say this. Do I have to say this? I don't have to say it. I don't have to say anything. But it's time to admit that I am not the biggest fan of Millie Bobby Brown. Sad days. So the first film I watched in April was Made You Look, a true story about fake art. And this is a documentary that was on Netflix. I thought it was interesting, but not completely enticing. I talked about a documentary a little while back, and I think some of you might have missed. It was like a mini series that I was talking about, and I just want to, once again, give a shout out to Murder Among Mormons. You need to check that out. That's the best true crime doco that Netflix has pumped out this year by far, in my opinion. But this one, wouldn't recommend to anyone here. Yeah, it's about stolen art. I thought it was going to be really interesting, but I feel like some of the interviews really like bogged it down. And sometimes Netflix, what is good about Netflix is it's so easy to digest, and they overproduce their documentaries, which sometimes, obviously, it doesn't play true to the story, and it really does dip into one side of the narrative, but that's what you expect with a Netflix documentary, I think. I then watched The Father, which, I mean, I knew as soon as I saw, everyone knew as soon as I saw it that he was going to get the Oscar. What a freaking performance. If you have not seen this movie, it is so good and not what I expected at all. I thought it was going to be a drama, like a sad family drama. It's not. It's almost a thriller, which is probably going to surprise some of you guys. I went and saw this at the cinema, which I was very lucky to do. And oh my gosh, I was shocked the whole time. It's about a man who has dementia and yeah, point of view through his eyes. There's nothing quite like this film. It's really strange. It jumps around and you really feel all the effects. I would highly recommend it. I think it's amazing. Check it out. I then watched it's not The Girl in the Box. I watched Girl in the Box. I did this I was gonna talk about it in a video, but it just wasn't good enough, so I gave it a skip. But I got really into the true crime, if you know what the true crime story is that this is based on. I got really into that. The Bukispe tapes, although they're not based on the exact same story, they kind of take some of the likeness from the idea of this true crime story, which is about a woman who was kidnapped and kept in a box. This is kind of like a Lifetime movie version of it. I would not probably recommend it if you haven't listened. I listened to a couple of podcasts about it and did some reading. If you haven't done any of that and you just want a rundown, this has it, but it's also really hard to accept because it's done in such a lifestyle way and they're packing it all into like an hour and a half, and it just does not seem plausible because it's such an insane story, so I don't really think it does it justice. I then watched Deathline. I don't even remember this, to be honest. Oh, it's called Raw Meat. Oh, of course I did. I know this movie. This is a really interesting movie, actually. This one is about, I think I did this for a video. This is about the London Tube Underground. This is a really cool, like, 70s hidden gem, which I think the video was on. God, I can't even remember the start of last month. I'm pumping out so much content. But this is a really cool find. It is about the underground and people who live there and I guess who live there in hiding, and yeah, the chaos that ensues. Would highly recommend it if you're into 70s really interesting hidden gems. Like I said, I haven't seen anything quite like that before. I watched The Other, which is another 70s gem, I think, and that was a really creepy movie, but also very predictable. It's about twin brothers who live on this farm and they use this power to kind of make things happen. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good movie, and I guess when it came out in the 70s, it wouldn't have been so overdone or overplayed as it is now. Like this storyline, you see it in so many different movies, but it has a really sinister and creepy ending that I think really makes it worth it. So definitely check it out, again, if you're into 70s films, and yeah, you want something a little bit creepy, a little bit of like a haunted almost story, yeah, check it out. Okay, the next movie I watched is Chasing Sleep. It was for the same video. I think this was a hidden gem video. I will link it. This is a really cool movie that I had never heard of. It stars Jeff Daniels, of course. It's one of those films that it's like a psychological, almost like Memento, like the, you know, psychological kind of, not loop, but, you know, he has problems sleeping. Obviously it's called Chasing Sleep, so that's no that's no spoiler, and you're kind of trying to figure out what's real and what's not. But I was really surprised this movie had a lot of really intense horror elements that I wasn't expecting. It's kind of shocking in parts where you expect it to be kind of, you know, the thriller drama where everything is real. There's a little bit of surrealism that's thrown in there, so I thought that was quite interesting. From there, I watched Sleeping Beauty. That is definitely the wrong one. I've linked the wrong one. Oh my god, that's so funny. What is the date for it? On the 4th. I'll show you the one I actually watched. That's so funny. How did I not know that? What did I give it first? Okay, I gave it a 4. I can't believe I linked the wrong one. This is an Australian film. It's got Emily Browning, and it is really creepy. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's a very sinister movie about her relationship with just everyone around her, but she's kind of like this struggling woman. I don't know where that went, but it's in here somewhere. She's a struggling woman, and she gets hired by this company to, first off, she thinks it's just like a hostess at parties, but a nude hostess, and then it gets quite dark where she does this service where she takes a pill and goes to sleep while someone else is in the room with her. I'm trying to keep it PG, you know. Very interesting, sad, but slow and stirring kind of. It's like a drama. It's not really a thriller, even though it sounds pretty intense. But yeah, it's more about people and the way they react or interact with each other than anything else. I would recommend it highly though. I watched Voyages. I did a review on that, so check it out if you're interested in. I saw that at the cinema, which again, I'm so lucky to go to the cinema, I know. I watched Jennifer's Body, and I watched this with my patrons, which I have not seen this movie in years, probably like 10 years, and I know a lot of people hate the poster, absolutely hate the poster. What a disservice to the movie. I know a lot of people talk about this movie and how it came back as like a cult classic after the awful marketing that was done around it. I should almost do it. Every time I start these videos, I keep rattling off, oh, I should do a video on that, and I get myself into trouble by the end. But out of the Blair Witch Book of Shadows and Jennifer's Body, would you like me to do a video on each? Either or? But yeah, because there's so much talk around this and what the film actually means and what it represents compared to what they promoted it as. And yeah, it was amazing to watch it back. And look, I give it 4 stars. That's pretty big for me. I rewatched Suspiria, and this is the 2018 one. This is the second time I ever watched it. I think I gave it a 7 the first time I watched it. I watched this for Does This Offend You, and we did like a whole stream, so you can check that out. It's on my channel. But I just really dislike the end scene. You know, that scene, if there's that scene in this movie. I just really dislike it. Everything else in the movie is amazing to me. And I was watching it going, oh my God, I really sold this to myself last time, or how can you undersell it to yourself? But you know, the way I was remembering it, felt so different. And then I remembered why I gave it not a low score, but why I gave it a 7. And it was because of that freaking scene. I don't know. I know people love it, but it's just not for me. I watched The Power, which is on Shudder. It's a Shudder original, I think. This was very interesting. I don't want to say too much because it's a clever thing with this film. There's like a really clever thing about it. If you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. And it is about a hospital that is, what is it? Wow, it's only in 1974. I thought it was way before that. It's in London. They're doing rolling blackouts. So they've got planned blackouts and they're moving people from a hospital. And this woman goes there to have this shift. And it's haunted. The hospital is completely haunted. So it's about that, and dang, I said it. It's about that and evil. True evil that's everywhere. I did like the idea, the themes, and the cleverness of it, but I didn't really like the setup and the characters, and when you figure something out, it all seems quite predictable in the end. So I was kind of in the middle, but I probably would recommend it. I think a lot of you guys would like it. I watched this one. I am not going to pronounce it. Obviously, this is Gaspar Noé, one of his films, which I found out after I watched it. One of my patrons, I was talking to them on my Discord, and they said, "Where did you watch that? It's not even out in America," which it's out here on streaming services. So this one is very interesting. It's like a meta kind of piece about two female filmmakers, and they are making a film about witches, and it's all about that. It's within the film, and all of like the power dynamics and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's quite interesting. Huge strobing alert. At the end there is like a 10-minute strobing scene, which is insane. So just be warned. I watched The Unholy, which I did a review of. Was not a fan of that one. I saw I got some really bad comments, but I think that might be because I'm a little bit satanic, which is to be expected, each to their own. I saw some people liked it, which is totally fine, and it's great that something exists and someone can appreciate it. I don't want someone to put so much effort and time into something, and, just because I don't like it, it is my opinion, and I'm very aware of that at all times. I don't know who I'm talking to because I know majority of you completely understand that, but I would not recommend it, especially just don't spend your hard-earned money on it, which is really sad to say. I watched a UFO abduction, which is also called the McPherson Tapes. I had never seen this before. It is a found footage about alien alien sightings. It's meant to be like, I don't know if it's Project Blue Book or whatever. They frame it around being part of this investigation about aliens and blah blah. And it's set in 1983, and it's actually filmed in 1989, which is so crazy to me. Like, I almost feel like that's fake, because I don't know, it is ahead of its time in a way, but it also is not great. Look, at people love it though. Maybe it's just me. I found it really, really boring. Very obvious that what they were doing, and it seemed very set up, and the acting wasn't great, which found footage, films can get away with, but I don't know, I wasn't buying it, which is very sad because I love aliens and I love found footage. So Yeah. I then watched Stay Alive. I watched this one with my patrons again. And this is a really fun, like early 2000s or mid 2000s, I guess, horror movie. It's not very good. But it has Frankie Muniz and Sophia Bush. And, sorry, my power. And I live life on the edge, guys. What can I say? It is about these teens who get together to play this video game, and they need to, you know, beat the game to stay alive. And there's all these different elements and rules to it. It's pretty crappy. It's really funny. The graphics are so hilarious. It hasn't aged very well because obviously the technology is caught up so well. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun throwback. I didn't hate watching it with a group. I think if you want to watch it with a group of people, I would highly recommend it. Otherwise, probably not, unless you wanted to take a trip back to the mid 2000s, which, you know, I'm all for with horror movies. I love that decade. So yeah. I watched Why Did You Kill Me, which is a Netflix documentary. Again, Netflix, what you doing? You have such these, like, this story was so amazing and so interesting, and they butchered it almost. It is about a girl who was unfortunately murdered, and her family trying to figure out who killed her. There's a really cool aspect about them kind of trying to trap this person online, which is where the title and obviously the picture comes from. And they kind of go into that and then they go off track, and I wish it was all around that, because it's a really cool idea, and they kind of draw the viewer in thinking it's about that. They even do like the start, you know, opening title scene, or before that, like the intro is all about that. And then they kind of drop it off, and it just doesn't seem like it has much direction. They have like really powerful interviews, but it just doesn't seem like produced to the level we're used to with Netflix. So yeah, I was kind of bummed out by that one. Interesting story, but yeah. I watched Boys from County Hell, and I did a review on that, so please check it out if you haven't. I watched The Ascendant. Oh my gosh. What to say about this movie? This is an Australian random movie. I did a bonus video for my patrons on this, just going to the cinema and watching the last session that showed here. This movie, are you crazy? It's a little bit crazy. It's probably the strangest film I've ever seen in the cinema. I've given it a 1.5, so that kind of shows that. It made no sense. It started off like a Saw movie, which was really cool, and then it went into this sci-fi fantasy backstory, and it was just doing the most. I would not recommend watching it, and I was just so surprised. It was also one of those films that it was filmed in Australia, set in Beijing, and then everyone has American accents. So like, it's just all over the place. And also, I do want to mention right now, I'm not into Mortal Kombat, and I have not seen the film, but I see a lot of people say, oh my god, did you know that the main guy is Australian in Mortal Kombat? I just want to set the record straight that it is filmed in Australia, and the director is Australian as well. So it's technically an Australian film, just because people keep asking me that, and I just wanted to say that. Anyway, moving on and upwards, I watched Honeydew, which is a film I talked about a while back, but a couple of you said that you really didn't like it, so it kind of turned me off, and I just didn't get around to watching it until a couple of you said you loved it. And so I was like, okay, I need to check out where I stand with this film, and let me tell you, it is intense. It is a roller coaster that no one is ready for. It's about a couple that go out into, like, they're going on a field trip. They're going on like a camping trip. They end up in this field, and it turns out to be this man's property, so they try and leave, and then their car won't start, and it turns into one of those, it's like watching Mother, you know, where everyone keeps jumping on the kitchen sink. It's one of those films that everything just keeps turning worse. I did enjoy this film. I thought it was really interesting and very different, and yeah, it gives you a bang for your buck, but the issue with it is that it takes forever to get there. So I mean, it's just like this stirring tension, but then it holds that for like an hour, and I just wanted a little bit quicker into that, because I don't know, I don't know if it's an attention span these days, but when you're just waiting for something to crack and it just won't, felt like it was a bit too far gone by the time it actually happened. So I can see here very up and down with the responses to this one, but if you are into extreme cinema, not extreme, but I guess experimental, the way it's done, the cinematography is amazing. I do recommend watching it. It's just, yeah, it's very different. Next, I watched Bloodthirsty, which is a 2020 horror movie about a woman who I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I won't say it, but she's a performer, She's a singer, and she goes into this cabin in the woods to work with this famous producer who has like picked her out, and they're trying to work on this album together, but she keeps having these crazy nightmares. And yeah, it's all a bit predictable and a little bit cheesy, but there was some cool original music in it. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of like smack bang in the middle for me. Nothing great. Nothing we haven't seen before. I felt like the main chick, her performance was really, really awesome, but the rest was quite cliche. I then watched Aliens, which if you have not seen my epic video about Aliens ranked, please go check it out. I spent probably the longest I've ever spent on any video editing that and making it perfect, and I learned so much about the film. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It is worth the time. It's a little bit longer, but there was just so much information I wanted to include, so I watched that for that. I watched The Special. Girl. The Special is a film it's a very low budget independent film about a man who goes to a house where there's women and you pay them, and he has an experience with a box and he becomes obsessed with the box. It is like this weird sci-fi horror movie that gets really dark and is about obsession and addiction, which I thought was really cool. Like, they had some really cool metaphors in the film. I think it was really well done for how low budget it was. It also felt like a Masters of Horror. Like, it just felt like a segment. It didn't feel like it was a whole movie. This is the kind of movie that needs to be remade because it was disgusting. In the best way possible, in the horror way that we love. If you haven't seen it, it's on Tubi, and I do recommend checking it out. It is a wild ride. If you like Masters of Horror, definitely check it out. Just remember, it is low budget. So I gave it 2.5 because I thought it was a really cool concept, and I thought, yeah, but it's still like very cheesy, and yeah, there's not a lot to it other than the main concept, but what is done with the concept is done pretty well. I watched Grease. I rewatched this with my patrons just for fun. We did a sing-along. I feel like they're probably traumatized by my actions. I've had a really hard time rating this one because I love Grease. It's just one of those films that I grew up watching all the time, and it's just nostalgia central, so it's really hard for me to rate them. And a lot of people rate films on how good they think the film is. I kind of do in the middle between my personal taste and how good the film is, and Grease, I don't know, probably got a little bit of an extra pass, but it's so hard for me not to rate that film high. I love every moment of it. Doesn't date very well, but very much enjoyed it. Then I have Alien Resurrection, and Prometheus. Of course, my Alien video. If you haven't watched that, please do. And then the last film I watched this month is a shocker. I feel like I'm going to talk about this in an upcoming video, which is, dang, I got this video out before I had a chance to mention it. But my God, this is called Keen, and it is the most emotional journey I've been on in a while in a film. It is about a man who has lost his daughter, and he is distraught, and mentally he's not coping, and he has many issues, and his life is completely fallen apart, and he becomes fixated and trying to find her for years, and it's just the most emotional jaw-dropping performance ever. Who was the main guy? It was Damian Lewis. He is just absolutely incredible in this movie. I've never seen anything like it. The way he portrays mental illness is just like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy didn't get an Oscar for this random movie I'd never heard of before. And yeah, it's just an incredible film. It's really heartbreaking and really heavy and hard to watch. And it's just a gut punch for an hour and a half or 100 minutes. Yeah, so if you're into a gut punch for 100 minutes, it is on Shudder in Australia at least, so I would recommend it. It was amazing. It's not really a horror movie. It's kind of like not even really a thriller. It's just like a really intense, dark drama. And I would recommend it, believe it or not. Yeah, I thought it was just brilliant, and I've never heard anyone talk about it before. I randomly found it when I was just scrolling on Shudder, and I was like, oh, I'll just check this out, and I had no idea what I was in for. But I do recommend it. So the films I recommend this month are keen. Aliens, I don't know, it's hard to explain if you like aliens, all of the alien films. I think you should watch the special. Let me know what you think. Honeydew, if you're into something, if you want something very intense. Boys from County Hell, love that one. Suspiria, if you have not seen the remake. Jennifer's Body, if you haven't seen that in a while, definitely check that out. The Chasing Sleep, The Other, Deadline, all of those ones I have recommended before. Or Sleeping Beauty, the right one. I think it's 2011. Definitely check that one out. And The Father, if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out if you can. Now let's talk TV shows. I watched Truth Be Told, which is part of Apple Plus. I love Apple Plus. I know there's only a couple of TV shows on there, and I've probably watched them all by now, but this one was really interesting. It has Octavia Spencer in it, who, she is amazing, and this role was really good for her, and it has Aaron Paul. She is a journalist, but she has a podcast, and she did a piece on this man and helped put him behind bars at the time, with her investigation, and it is reflecting on that and everything that really happened. It's the truth being told, and her, doing this whole new podcast series, trying to find out if she was helping or hindering the truth. I loved it from the start. I thought it was like really fun, really cool, really interesting, and then something happened and it became like, I don't know, I kind of took a dip and it became really predictable and boring. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but it's like a really cool idea in theory. So if you want a background TV show, because once you figure out what's going on, it's kind of obvious, probably check that one out. I don't know how else I can recommend it, but Octavia Spencer is amazing in it, and I think she did such a good performance, so I enjoyed watching it for her. I did watch Behind Her Eyes. I forgot to mention this last month, and a couple of you reminded me, and this one is a Netflix TV show about a woman and man who move into like this new, well, I guess they're a couple, and they move into this new city, and you're not too sure about their past relationship and how they got into their situation, and she seems to be hiding something sinister. He's a therapist, and it's so hard to explain without explaining what actually happens. And yeah, it's about their relationship, and she's hiding a big secret, and it's behind her eyes. Yeah, it's about their relationship and her secret. Again, another TV series that I thought, oh, this is interesting, this is cool, and then all of a sudden it became really obvious what it was about, and I just couldn't believe it. And I guess the ending, because I felt like, I don't know, I knew there was going to be one more gut punch, and yeah, I don't know, it's one of those things where I think that you should know going into it, it is quite fantasy based, and if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be expecting such a logical explanation for things, and it was kind of a bummer when you're trying to put together the pieces of a puzzle and then you realize it doesn't make any sense, so why are you trying to make sense of it? So yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but I know people really liked that TV show, so I would recommend it if you're into like mystery, drama, fantasy. So everything I've mentioned so far in TV has been quite mediocre, but the next thing I have to mention I am so excited about, it is Search Party Season 4. If you have not seen Search Party, it is a great series. It really is. Season 1 was amazing. Season 2 was great. Season 3 kind of lost me, and Season 4 is the best season of them all, and it really comes full circle. If you've ever seen Arrested Development and you realize the genius of only having 3 seasons and it all wrapping together, that's kind of what happens in Season 4 of this, where everything kind of comes back and loops back and everything they've been through makes sense, and yeah, it's just like instant karma. If you haven't seen Search Party or you don't know anything about it, it's about a bunch of 20-year-olds that are so self-obsessed and self-important, and they're just the worst people alive, and they get themselves into a very intense situation when they realize someone they know has gone missing, and they try and find them, and it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, I would say. It's just one of those like satire, ridiculous kind of TV shows, but it gets quite dark, and there's a lot of, there's like murder and lots of different stuff in it. The new season has Ann Dowd in it, who I absolutely love. It also has Susan Sarandon. It is just, yeah, amazing, and I highly recommend it, especially if you kind of went off it. get back on it for season 4. It is so amazing. And I wish I hadn't put it off for so long, but it's so great. And all of the episodes like 25 to 30 minutes, so it's really easy to get through. I watched the Sasquatch series, which is on Hulu. And I have to say, I was disappointed. This is a series that is about, it was actually produced by the Duplass brothers, and it is about a man who is a journalist, and he goes on this adventure almost that's like really dark and sinister because everyone who's tied up to it is tied into crime in that area. But he, when he was younger, heard about a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, killing someone. And so he wants to find out if that story is real. But it's more about the drug trade, where he was, and crime, and, you know, him trying to find information out from some really dodgy characters. Technically, it is about Bigfoot, but yeah, I don't know. I was kind of let down. It's 3 parts, I believe, 45 minutes each to an hour. Yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend it, not to you guys, unless you're into true crime. But again, I didn't think it was the best way to tell the story. The last TV show that I watched, oh my gosh, did I watch it? This month was Them. So many of you have asked me all about my opinions on this, and I found it really hard to talk about because my perspective being an Australian white woman is just not the same. And as much as I can talk about it as a TV show and, you know, the composition and the technical aspect, there was a lot of the story which was quite a learning experience for me as well. I really recommend checking out Xena, the Real Queen of Horror. I'll leave her link down below. She reviewed the series, it's not a spoiler-free review as well. But this series, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever been so disturbed by a TV show in my life. Ju-on, watch out. This one is so intense, and just as you think it's gonna get better, or not better, but just as you think it's like hit the peak, something else happens, and I had to cover my eyes during some of it. The tension in this show is so insane. It is about a black family that move into a white neighborhood in the 50s in America. And everything that's going on in the neighborhood and how it interlocks with their trauma. And it's all about trauma and that manifesting. And it's just the most insane story ever. And oh my God, I have goosebumps. Like, it was so intense. There was this part, and this is not a spoiler, where the dad was just like shaving his face, and it's not meant to be scary, but the tension is so high in this TV show that I dropped my drink just watching him shave because it was just so intense. It has just such strong, insane themes. I just thought it was amazing. I thought the acting was so well done, and it was just a really interesting story, and one that's completely unpredictable. I thought it might have been about ghosts in the house, but it's about so many different things, and every episode just brings an extra layer of horror, and I think it's one of the most horrific TV shows I've ever seen. I totally stand by that. It's on Amazon Prime. Please check it out if you have the stomach. It's very intense, but I do think it's worth the ride. It's really well done. And it is part of an anthology series, so I believe every season's going to be about a new trauma within America. I don't know how many seasons they're signed on for, but hopefully it was successful enough to get a season 2 and 3 and 4, because I can't wait to see what they do next. It was amazing. The music is also so good. The cinematography, the color grading is very strong, very, you know, crisp and dark and slick. So yeah, there's just a lot to like, and there's just a lot to keep you drawn in every moment. So that's a good one. There was so much to say about it, but also just, yeah, it's just hard to talk about, to be honest. It's just so much. I think that's all I have for you this month. You know, all that. Thank you so much for supporting me. I did hit 80K last month. This month, you know. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for all your support. I will be doing a live stream soon. It's just been a little bit hectic at the moment, but I will be doing one. Don't worry, I haven't forgot. I just wanted to thank you all so much for that. Thank you for your support, and thank you for watching my videos. If you haven't used the notification bell, make sure you use it, because I know I don't pop up all the time in people's subscription boxes, and I promise I'm still doing 2 videos every single week, and I'm working the hardest I ever have to make good content for you guys, helpful content for you guys. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.